And that's when I started also like a little bit to laugh, like he's such a pathetic loser.
Olá, seja muito bem-vindo ao RivoTalks. Você achou estranho a convidada falando inglês na abertura? Temos a nossa primeira convidada internacional, meus caros.
Sim, se você não ligou o rostinho à pessoa, a moça da abertura é Ayleen Charlotte, uma das mulheres que foi alvo do golpista do Tinder. Lembra?
Esse documentário, que foi lançado lá em 2022 pela Netflix, fez e ainda faz um enorme sucesso. E se você não assistiu, para agora, vai lá, assiste e volta para essa conversa que ela vai ficar muito melhor. A gente não vai ficar bravo, prometo.
Não, a gente não tá ligando pra audiência imediata. Você tem que entender a história. A Ayleen é a personagem da vida real que faz a gente vibrar com o fim da história. E hoje ela é uma ativista antifraude.
Sabe, volta por cima, né,
Total.
Cecília? Ela é embaixadora da BioCatch, uma das empresas líderes globais em evitar fraudes, especialmente as fraudes bancárias. Ou seja, ela não é mais a vítima, ela é agora a algoz dos fraudadores.
Coisa maravilhosa. Bora começar o nosso RivoTalks, nossa sessão semanal de conversas com o convidado. Você não pode, não deve dormir sem essa.
Ah, e ó, essa entrevista, ela vai ser legendada em português, porque a Ayleen é holandesa, ela fala inglês aqui com a gente. Então, se você tiver acostumado a só escutar o nosso podcast pelo Spotify e não falar inglês, eu recomendo que você assista pelo Spotify ou pelo YouTube. Vem com a gente.
Exatamente, venha. Ayleen Charlotte, welcome to RivoTalks.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have you ever spoken to the Brazilian audience before like that in front of the cameras?
No, I think it's the first time first time in Brazil and first time I'm really speaking to the Brazilian audience.
Oh, so nice.
And I remember that after the documentary came out, and I think it's still till today, like most of my followers on Instagram are from Brazil.
Yeah, the show was a huge success here, right?
And Brazilians are like that.
Yeah.
They like to follow and then comment, make
Interact.
comments. Yeah.
Ayleen, this is a very serious podcast. Very, very, very serious. So I have to start this interview asking you something that I think all Brazilians want to know. Do you still have the Tinder app on your phone?
No, I had some bad experience with Tinder, so I deleted the app. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No more online dating for you, right?
No, only face to face, and maybe after 10 dates I will trust.
Okay.
Start.
Yeah.
Sure.
Start trusting. Because while we're watching the doc, Ayleen, we've noticed some things that clearly shows that the guy was a scammer. Of course, we start watching the doc knowing that this guy is a jerk, different than you. But you think you didn't see it, why you didn't see it, or what you didn't see it? Because, for example, among all the people a billionaire could know, why he would ask you for money?
Well, it's a process. Like I said, in the first 7 months, he was the perfect boyfriend. We traveled everywhere. We did a lot of nice things. We had a lot of nice dinners. Everywhere I go, he goes. But he already shared some information about enemies, and he needed to be undetected. So it started to slowly he put the story in my head. And at a certain point there was this crisis, and that was the moment where he needed my help. And of course, why wouldn't I? I mean, I trusted him. He was already my boyfriend for over 7 months. So why not? I mean, I'm a good person. So yeah. And when I look at it now, yes, I do see red flags. I mean, after a few months of dating, I think it was already 2 months of dating, he said, I want you to be my baby mama, and I love you so much. You're my future wife. So with all the love bombing and the amazing words and treatments, that is something, you need to look out for. But on the other hand, it can also be, there are also people who are very genuine. And
yes,
I mean, if it's love at first sight, I mean, some people move in after 6 weeks of dating.
Yes.
So, it's very difficult. But yeah, if I look back now, of course, I see red flags a lot.
The story is all so bizarre that we keep asking ourselves, was there any moment when you felt you might be being deceived by him, but I don't know if for love or for the trust you used to have, you choose to doubt yourself?
Yes, I did. There were certain moments during the relationship where I Googled his so-called father, and I start comparing pictures with him and his so-called father. And in a way, they look like each other. So you're like, okay, well, it must have been true, Yeah. And I mean, this is something I also say. I'm coming from a very, very loving environment. So in my environment, I never had to look over my shoulder or have eyes in my back because everybody was really nice. Nobody would ever do this to me. And that's also something, if you grew up in a very dangerous environment, you're always on the lookout. And that's something I never had to do. And I would never even think that someone would do this to me. So you are not on the lookout because everybody around you is trustable. And
why you should doubt someone like
why
that?
I should doubt someone,
He never speak to his father like on the phone. You never, because he used to travel a lot, so you didn't spend so much time together to see this.
Well,
clues, right?
Yeah, he said several times, he said, oh, I'm with my father now, or I'm talking with my father. Please let me walk out the room or whatsoever. So, and of course, I mean, it wasn't on video, so you couldn't, and why would I not trust him? You know?
Of course.
Of course. And the doc shows a quote from Marilyn Monroe that says, a rich man is like a beautiful woman. It's not necessary, but it helps. You think that somehow his allegedly fortune made you swipe to the right? I'm not saying, of course, that you were looking for a rich man, but this is something that you've been accused of, to be a gold digger.
Yeah.
But somehow, of course, all of us want to be friends with someone who has some assets or yachts, or it's not a crime, right?
No.
Like Marilyn Monroe said, it's not necessary, but
it helps.
It helps.
Sure.
Well, first of all, I think I would be like the worst gold digger in the world.
Of course.
Because I gave away all of my money, and normally gold diggers only take.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when I was swiping on Tinder, I remember his pictures, and he wasn't on those pictures with expensive cars or a private jet. He had like very, at that point, low-key pictures, but he was dressed very well. And I remember he was wearing a very nice squared jacket, and he was sitting on the terrace with a drink, with, I think it was a glass of red wine. And I was like, oh, and he had a nice glasses on. And I was like, oh, this guy has style. I like his...
and you were in the luxury business, right?
And I used to work in luxury business. So I was like, oh, finally, someone with style, with a nice blazer. And I like that in a man. So yeah, that's when I swipe right. Yeah. So it wasn't...
As you probably did with other guys.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Like if they were, I mean, you cannot impress me with a very expensive car or whatever, because I used to work in high-end luxury, so I've seen it all. I had black cards in my hand for already a few times. You're not impressing me with those type of things, but if you dress well and you present yourself well,
This is
Why not?
something
Calls
good.
your attention.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Aileen, we have a membership program here in RivoTalks, which are our fans. They can become Rivos de Ouro, which is golden Rivos. And one of the privileges Rivos de Ouro have is to ask you a question, ask our guest a question. So we are now going to
Let's just
play
make a call in Portuguese in here.
Você
Se você
que-
não é rivo de ouro,
É isso aí, torne-se
Seja.
um.
você
porque
pode fazer
aí,
pergunta até em inglês.
olha só, nossa Thaís Vasconcelos, maravilhosa, fez uma pergunta para Aileen.
Exatamente. Let me...
Pera. Eu não mandei.
Oh, he didn't send the question.
We have a
The
terrible
video.
producer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And director.
You are going to the human resources after this interview.
Tá, vai. That's the great part of being on internet.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Yeah.
Let me put, here's Thais. Her name is Thais.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Ayleen. Thanks for sharing your story with us. To what extent do you think that your socialization as a woman, the idea of having a Prince Charming or needing to be married or having our worth validated by men has contributed for you to fall for this con artist? And what can we, as women, do so that future generations do not fall for the same traps that keep being imposed on us by the patriarchy? Thank you.
Oh, wow.
We have a great audience here.
What an amazing question. Well, I already shared a few red flags earlier. I think the biggest red flag is like the love bombing. This will start at the very, very beginning. Maybe after a few days or even after a few weeks, they start saying, I love you, I miss you, I want you to be my baby mama, blah, blah, blah. So these are things you really need to look out for. And of course, the biggest red flag is if someone is going to ask you for money. But 9 out of 10 times, they are going to create a crisis, and then they want you to help them immediately. Fraudsters don't want to wait. They're always in a rush. They don't make you think rationally. So if someone you just met asking you for money, please take a few steps back. Start discussing it with your friends or your family, or get some relative you trust. Start talking with them about it. Wait for a few days. And of course, please say no. But you will see the changing in their behavior. Because, like I said, fraudsters need money now, and they really like to have it yesterday than tomorrow. So if you say no, or if you want to wait for 1 or 2 weeks, then a fraudster is not going to give you that respect. And that's the moment when you know that it's a fraudster. Because if a real friend or a real family member is asking you for money and they're in need of money, they will respect you and they will respect your decision, even if you say no. And this is what fraudsters don't do.
Yeah, and also somebody that you love will not put you in a situation where you will be in danger, right?
Yeah, of course. And or getting into trouble because of them.
Sure.
The only problem is, unfortunately, we cannot really protect ourselves from falling for scams.
Yeah.
Everybody will be vulnerable at some point. Any scam can happen to anybody. It will find you at the right time, at the right place. But please look at the warning signs. And unfortunately, if you start dating a guy and you like him after 2-3 dates, or, well, if a man starts dating a woman and you like them after a few dates, you maybe still cannot see that he or she is a fraudster. And that's the problem. I mean, you cannot look at a face and say, oh, no, I think it's not written on their forehead.
Sure.
So it's not something you can protect yourself fully from.
And we always think, like Cecilia said in the beginning of the interview, we always think that it will never happen to me.
No,
Because
of course I would knew that
How
this
in
guy.
the world that girl didn't see it, right?
I heard that so much.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
My mom was watching with me again the documentary, and she said, "Oh my God, this guy looks like a
He's full of
scammer.
shit."
Of course he was a scammer." I said, "Mom, it's not your type of guy. It may be someone type of guy, you know?"
No, and we always have this opinion watching the documentary where we know that the guy is a scammer,
Yeah.
right?
I know.
So we
So
don't-
everybody looks at him like, oh my God, he's
Yeah.
such a douchebag. You can see it from miles away. And
No.
no, you can't.
That's why
You can't. Because if the documentary wasn't there, you would have known.
Of course
Or
no.
you would not know. So, but yeah, I know that's really funny. If I do the same thing. I watched
We're
a
humans.
documentary about a fraudster as well. And I was like, oh my God, I hear the same sentence. And then I thought, ooh, don't judge.
Don't
don't
judge.
judge. Don't judge. Be careful.
Been there myself.
I've
Been
been
there
there.
myself.
But Thais asked about the Prince Charming. You were a girl who believed in like fairy tales and Prince Charming?
No, not
No.
really.
You consider yourself a feminist?
What's a feminist?
Yes, that's my.
I will
Entendem.
stand up. Now I will stand up because you and Cecilia think the same.
Thank you, Ayleen, because everybody punishes me when I say that. Bem
Sorry,
feito.
sorry, sorry.
Thank you. Vai.
Ayleen, the doc showed 3 very distinct reactions when the scam is revealed. We have Cecilia, when she tells her story and the beginning of the romance, it's clear that she still loves that version of Simon that she met. When she's speaking to the camera, we can see that she still loves him. Then we have Pernilla, otherwise.
Yeah.
In the moment she discovers everything, she's filled with deep hatred. She starts to hate that guy, and she even say in the movie that it's amazing how the all that friendship feeling in 2
turns
seconds
into hate.
is turned into a deep hate. And then we have you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
what we feel about you in the documentary is that you seems to felt not hate but a great disdain for him. I think it's even deeper than hate. It's like
Yeah.
despise,
disdain.
absolute despise. Now, 5 years after everything, 2 years after Netflix, what do you feel for Simon?
Nothing. I laugh at him. I saw him a few weeks ago. Yay, lucky me.
Yeah. Woo.
Yes.
Where?
I was in Tel Aviv
Okay.
and I was being testifying against him for the trial of the real Levia family. They filed a lawsuit against him.
Of course.
For shaming their name, shaming their company, and they're fully right. I mean, that's what he did. They asked me to testify, and I said yes. And we still didn't know if he would show up or he wouldn't, but he did. So lucky me.
Yeah.
1 minute, I think 2 minutes before the case started, the trial started. He showed up with a bodyguard and
Not Peter.
Not Peter anymore.
no.
Okay.
No, he didn't got paid. So he's and
Peter got scammed?
yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, everybody gets scammed by this guy.
Yeah.
So he was in the room and I was standing in front of in the room and in front of the judge. And the first thing I did before I started was looking at him to see what it would do to me. Like maybe I get so much anger or whatever, but he started to like look away on his phone immediately.
Howard.
And that's when I started, I just keep looking at him because I just wanted him to look back
at
or
you, yeah.
face and to see what he would do. Well, he looked at his phone. He just moved. He was very uncomfortable. He was almost crawling inside the wall. And I was like, okay, now I got you. And that's when I started also like a little bit to laugh. Like
Okay.
he's such a pathetic loser. I mean, you know what you did. Otherwise, you wouldn't show this behavior.
Sure.
So when he...
Do you believe he was ashamed?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think especially because I am the one who got a little bit of revenge and I defrauded him in a
See,
way
yeah.
with the clothes. And I think that is still something he cannot
Bothers him.
handle. Yeah, and it bothers him.
How dare she?
How dare she? What a...
Yeah.
You
can
can say
say
here.
it.
What a
Here in
bitch.
the
Okay, yeah,
internet.
because I heard that not many people are using bad language in Sao Paulo.
No, if
in-
you were in Rio,
Rio is much
probably.
worse.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
use slangs as comas there
Okay.
in Rio. Here
Slangs
we are-
and some curse.
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
But you became friends with the Levia family, right?
Yeah, we
They were
created.
pretty great with
they
you.
were amazing. They are amazing. We created a bracelet. We designed a
nice.
bracelet.
Amazing.
Yay! It's called Stronger Together, and it has 2 little diamonds in it. It's still available, and the 2 rings stands for stronger together. Because, for example, the documentary wouldn't be this big if it was only me, or if it was only Pernilla, or if it was only
Sure.
Cecile. And now, they wanted to help us a little bit and support us because they thought we were very strong with coming out with our story. And that's when, we decided to design a bracelet. And this is also something like a big payback because this is something he always wanted.
Of course.
And we have it. So, yeah.
Was this the first time you met him since everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, since I took the clothes. Yeah.
Nice. We will speak about that,
That
in a
later.
moment. It's great. But, é você?
Uh-huh.
Então vai.
On the day you read the VG article,
verdade.
just before boarding that plane, what hurt you the most? Because I suppose that you had to deal with 2 feelings. The first one is the hurt of being scammed, and also the hurt and the grief of losing that partner and that relationship. Because after all, at least for you, it was a relationship, right? These feelings existed at that moment, these 2 feelings. Were they conflicting?
Yeah, it was even, I think there were even more. We just spoke about it in the car. And I mean, at that moment, I knew that I got defrauded. I was in deep debt at that time, and I had to cope with it because I knew after reading the article, I knew I wouldn't get my money back from him. The relationship never existed from his side.
Yes.
He never existed. So the person I fell in love with, it wasn't
Died.
him.
It wasn't
He
him.
died at that point. But
He
also,
wasn't even born, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, he never existed.
Yeah.
But also I felt, of course, a lot of anger and disbelief and unbelief. Like, how can he do this to me? I've only been nice to him, you know? I tried my best. I did everything to help in order to help him, to keep him safe, to keep myself safe. How can you just do this to a person? So I knew immediately, but also you're still hoping that it's not true. So there are like a million things going through my
I
mind.
can't imagine.
And I really wish the flight wouldn't end.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I also knew that if I landed, he immediately started texting, calling, because I sent him the article.
Yes.
And I said, is it true? I already knew, like, the moment I read it, and he said, no, these are just
My enemies.
paid, the
Always,
girls paid by my
always.
enemies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, stop this nonsense.
Again.
But I truly believe that in his head, that story is true.
We were talking about
About
that
This
moments
moment,
before
yeah.
you arrive.
Yeah.
Because it's
He's
not,
a sick person.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
This is not an explanation for everything.
Excuse
An
or
excuse for everything, but he has something.
Something went very wrong
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
his,
In
like,
his head.
in his
the-
head.
the-
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely,
it's-
because he says everything with a lot of confidence, and he almost believes. It looks like he
He
believes
almost
everything.
he believes.
And I truly, truly, truly believe that this is the truth. Like, he really believes that he was a part of the family. He was having enemies, and I just cannot even imagine how sick he is.
Yeah.
His mom doesn't care about him. You can see at the
Yeah.
At the
document.
dock, yeah.
The woman says he's not Shashua,
Yeah.
I forgot the name anymore. He's Levia.
He's
Yeah.
now Levia and
Leave me alone.
leave me alone.
Yeah,
His mom.
you watched a documentary even better than I did.
Because we watched it again
Sorry,
yesterday.
Yeah.
I think I watched it once or twice.
No, of course, I can imagine.
No, you don't
2.5
have to
years ago.
relieve this.
Yeah, everything. But Ayleen, was there any moment when you blamed yourself for everything?
Yes, of course.
This is
I
terrible.
think I looked myself in the mirror for maybe a million times and said to myself, "Oh, how stupid could you be? You could have stopped then. You could have stopped then. You could have stopped then. But you know what? It happened,
Of course.
and this is what I had to deal with. There was no other. Well, there was no other option.
Sure.
This was the situation, and yeah, unfortunately, yes, of course, I thought, I felt myself stupid, but that's not the way. I mean,
No.
I don't want to blame myself. I mean, he's the criminal, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
So
You were the nice girl.
I was the
in end.
nice girl, yeah.
Clearly, Simon is a very, very, very intelligent man.
Sick but intelligent.
Sick but intelligent, like a lot of men out there. We can see that from the sophistication of his actions and of his scams, and also because he managed to fool people like you, who's not a foolish person. Clearly, in your opinion, why does he choose to use his intelligence for evil? Because he could use that for good stuff and even to become the entrepreneur he would like to be. Do you believe in forgiveness or in regret for people like him?
No.
No.
No, I think it's because he's really, really sick. This is his work. This is what he does. And he believes that he's this entrepreneur, blah. But yeah, he's a really sick man. And I just cannot describe it in any other way,
Yeah.
I think. So, yeah, that's it. And I know that this is the only thing he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
So maybe in a way he
This is so
gets turned
sad,
off
right?
or
This
something.
is very sad.
Yeah,
Very
it's really
sad.
sad.
I got really impressed, Ayleen, by the way you were able to think really fast when the moment you realized he was going to Greece. You were extremely sharp, not just at the moment, but also when you decided to sell all his stuff.
Yeah, this was great.
Let me see how I can take money from him. You're very sharp at these two moments. Do you asked yourself where this Ayleen was all along in this moment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where were you?
Where
Because
were
it's
you?
really
Yeah.
impressive. At the moment you wake up for everything, then you become like a ninja.
Beast.
Yeah, ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really,
Not
really
the
impressive.
beauty, the beast.
That Google search you made, the flights and the destinations and
All the connections.
it's
Yeah.
really,
So
really
sharp.
amazing.
Yeah, I think I was on a mission. Same as with the clothes. I mean, I wanted to get some of my money back, and I was in such deep trouble in all areas of my life. So I needed a little bit of money because I was in minus on everything. And I knew it would never come from him. And he keeps on asking me for more and more and more. And that's when I came up with the idea. I was like, you have all these expensive clothes. You need to be undetected. This is what you already said to me for over a year or over 1.5 years. So give them to me and I will sell them for you. And he started very enthusiastic about the idea,
Yeah.
and he sent me pictures and he said, look, I have this and I have this. How much do you think this is worth? How much do you think this is worth? And I started like Googling because at that point, everything was last season. So everything was very fresh and it was also like maybe worn 2 or 3 times. So I knew I could sell it for a good price.
Sure.
And he started to be very enthusiastic, and he even booked me a ticket to Prague.
Yes.
And I think that's the only time when he gave me something or gave me a trip or booked a ticket for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the other girls had tickets all
I
the
know.
time.
Because I was traveling a lot for work,
Okay.
I was already there, and
He made the math. I don't have to pay for her expenses.
no. And I also
Sociopath. Completely.
and I also paid a lot of my travel tickets myself because I didn't want him to pay.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a different. It was a little bit of a different situation, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. But when I arrived in Prague, he showed like, look, I have this, I have that, and I said, okay, pack everything in. And he made like 3 suitcases. He was very enthusiastic. He said, when can you sell something? I said, well, I need to go home first.
Sure.
I need to iron everything. I need to wash everything, clean everything. And then, let's see, you
Photograph.
know.
And you became kind of the Hulk when you carry by yourself all the 3 luggages with more than 30 kilos each
It's
one.
insane. And I still, I had
scarf?
a scar.
scarf, yeah.
From a wound I got when I was carrying all the suitcases, because the suitcase went next to my ankle because I had to carry it inside the train, outside the train, inside the train. And I still don't know how I did it, but I did it. And the only thing,
The guts.
I felt
Yeah.
so relieved when I was home. And when I just rolled the suitcases into my home and I was like, I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Mission
You
accomplished.
go,
Mission
girl.
accomplished. But I also had to face him because he became really crazy.
Really
that time,
crazy.
like
the
really
audios
crazy.
are
Yeah, it
impressive.
was not fun.
Yeah.
It was not.
Not fun.
And had
Scary, right?
No, and have
Very
to
scary.
stay in bed, laying next to him.
On that night
Oh
before
my
the
God.
Clothis.
Yeah. Ugh.
Blah.
This is
That-
the anger.
That's the reaction.
The anger motivation, right?
But I had a mission, so I was on a mission.
Yeah, the perfect one.
Amazing. Ayleen, at the end of the doc, we are informed that Simon is free, wealthy, and dating a model who later gave an interview to BBC exposing all his abusive treatment with her. He was briefly arrested for crimes committed in Israel, but never paid for the frauds that he committed against you and the other girls. And the worst is that he turned his bad reputation into some kind of positive quality, some positive asset. And now he's selling courses and books online. How do you feel about this? I mean, your revenge by selling his clothes and the 5 months he spent in jail are enough for you?
No, of course not. But I know that this person has like maximum of 3 outcomes. one, he will end up in jail someday because he cannot continue this. Two, he maybe is going to meet the wrong guy because he's also defrauding men and companies, so and organizations. So one day I think he's going to meet the wrong one. And or there's a third option, and that's maybe he gets like too confused in his own lies, and he will get like more
Crazy.
local and crazy than he already is.
Yeah.
So maybe he will end up in
a
in a mental institution. Yeah. So these are the three outcomes this person has, and I feel okay with that because maybe it's not happening now or next week or whatever,
not
but
a happy
someday. And he's not happy. And this is what I said in the courtroom as well. I mean, my life will always be better than his.
Yeah.
I mean, money is replaceable, but the love I have from my parents, the support I have from my friends, I can travel the world freely. I never have to be scared to end up in jail. I don't have enemies. The only enemy I have is him, but you know. So my life will always be better than his because all of these things he doesn't have. He doesn't have real friends. He doesn't have parents who love him. You know, so yeah.
This is amazing. Let's have a little break of the Simon subject.
Oh my God! Yes, fine. No. Oh, finally.
But we have to ask a few
I'm talking
questions
for
later.
years about
Yeah.
him.
Here in Brazil, we are in the middle of the electoral campaign. In less than 2 months, over 100 million Brazilians will choose their new mayors for their cities. Given your experience with swindlers, tell us, how can we recognize when a politician is trying to deceive us? I mean, like 3 signs to recognize that you are being scammed.
Oh my God, this is a very difficult question. I think I come from the Netherlands, and we have like a very safe environment, especially for politicians. So to be honest,
It's really different here.
It's really different here.
Yeah.
And I think I cannot give an answer to that. I'm so sorry.
So you should make some internship here in Brazil to learn all the types of scams that there is.
Maybe I should go here, study a bit more about because I know it's a complete different country than where I come from. I don't have that experience, so it's really difficult for me to answer this question.
That's fine. Let me
fine.
ask you about Netherlands, because it's not about scams or mans that we're going to talk about. It's about drugs.
Yes.
Because here in Brazil, we're having an intense debate on the decriminalization of weed.
Yeah.
Which happened in the 70s in the Netherlands. You were born in a country that already solved that problem. But here in Brazil, the people who disagree with this measure says that Brazil is going to be a zombie land. I know we have different cultures and different problems in Netherlands and Brazil, but you think that, does it work? The I'm not going to say a decriminalization of weed.
Yes, I think it works. To be honest, I don't smoke. We always say the tourists smoke, not us. Because every time when I go to an outside country or a foreign country, people say, "Oh, where do you come from?" Amsterdam. It's like, "Oh, you smoke?" No, only you do that when you come to Amsterdam. But I
Our
think
coffee shops exist because of you.
Yeah. But I think it works because it's a lot more. There's less criminal activities around weed when it comes to weed, and but of course it still exists because it's still I think a group where you can get like a lot of money in. So, and
But you learn in school when you are a kid about drugs
Because
and weed.
what you
Yes.
are saying is very progressive, actually, because you were saying, I don't smoke, but I'm fine with the decriminalization.
Oh,
I
fancy.
trained in the mirror a lot. Here in Brazil, it's very hard to hear an opinion like that. Like, I don't do it, but I'm okay if you do.
yeah.
It doesn't happen here.
Okay.
If you don't like something, you don't want anybody to do that. It's very crazy. It's a very different country, right?
Yeah, but if I don't do something, it doesn't mean that someone else cannot do it either.
Sure.
So, and I think we get a lot of information about drugs. I remember that when I went to Amsterdam at school, they gave us a test like about drugs, and I think the only thing I knew was weed, hash, and cocaine.
And how old were you?
16, 17.
Okay,
So
nice.
they are showing you like, oh, did you use something? Or
A really open conversation, right?
yeah, it was a very open conversation, and we just had to fill in like this form. And almost all the drugs I just don't know. Like I never was experienced with, and still not, because I'm scared to
Lose control of yourself.
yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So it's not for me. But if someone else is having a lot of fun with it, I'm fine.
I was always curious about that because you have the drug situation and the prostitution situation.
Yeah.
Prostitutes are almost as a professional, are professionals
Sure.
in Netherlands.
They have
Here in
even
Brazil,
retirement.
Yeah, here in Brazil, the activity itself, it's not a crime, but prostitutes doesn't have any rights
Yeah.
in here. So you have the drugs and the prostitution. I think in schools, you must talk about this, right? You learn something from this.
Yeah.
How different your country is, or no?
Yes. Well, I think we are not realizing how different it is until you go cross border.
Okay.
Because
Oh, for you, it was everything really normal, right?
yeah, because it feels normal. I mean, the weirdest, and I start realizing when I came to Brazil a few days ago, and someone asked me like, "Oh my God, you have like the red light district," and then I start realizing like we have it's a beautiful cultural thing in the Netherlands, but we have this red light district,
Yeah.
like in the middle of the center. Normally, if you talk about prostitutes or
Yes.
they are always like in the outside of the
Absolutely.
center, or like it's always
A ghetto, like the
yeah, because they are sent away, and that's not what happening in Amsterdam. I mean, it's in the middle of the center. You can visit. It's a tourist attraction.
Sure.
And what I love about there's this really small part in the red light district.
Those tiny rooms, right?
Yeah, but you have a church. Across from the church is a kindergarten, and next to the kindergarten are
A coffee shop?
No, not. I don't think a coffee shop. Maybe it's on the other side.
Okay.
But then you have like these little windows. I mean, that's like a few square meters, which like this is how we live. You
Yeah.
know, like everything can.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue. Everything can go together like children. You bring your children to school. And on the other hand, you have some, on the other side, you have some.
And then you can meet the prostitutes at the church. Maybe.
Yeah. So it's I don't, to be honest, I don't realize how special it is until you talk about it in a different country, and everybody's like,
Yeah, the U.S. like to say they
Oh
are
my
the
God.
free land, but
No.
Netherlands is the free
No.
land.
No.
Absolutely.
no.
It's a
Oh,
great
sorry,
country.
sorry.
Ayleen, still speaking of Brazil and returning a little bit to the scam subject, we have a bizarre phenomenon here where women fall in love with notorious criminals after they are imprisoned. I think that this is actually a human phenomenon, not specifically from Brazil. But Here there was a famous rapist and ripper called Chico Picadinho, which
What?
in a free translation means something like minced beef Joe. He was not a great guy.
That was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he received dozens of love letters in prison and even married one of his fans in prison. It's crazy. After your story became public, Simon managed to date again, even after the story was public. And he even thought, we read that in an interview, and it was shocking for us, but he even thought about creating a dating show where women would compete to date him. Thank God it didn't happen, but he thought about that. He said that in an interview. How can you explain this?
I think look at Ted Bundy. I mean,
Yes.
there are museums having stuff from criminals as well. I got contacted by a museum of criminality. I don't know how it's called, but it's from the US, because I still have Simon's golden iPhone he used during the fraud.
Really?
With his name engraved.
Wow.
Yeah. And they ask, like, can we buy it from you? Because we also have the car of Ted Bundy, and we have, like, from all, like, a lot of serial killers, we have some stuff. And I was like, you crazy. I mean, how can you put these type of people on a pedestal?
Yeah,
But
it's worshiping them.
what's the name of the guy again, who like killed 14 or 17 guys, and he put them in like this round,
Table did this round thing.
yeah, this tube in his home, in his
Jeff Dahmer.
oh my
Jeff
god,
Dahmer.
Jeff
Yeah.
Dahmer, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Thank
god,
you,
okay, thank you.
director.
Oh.
From
So-
the Netflix.
Yeah, also the
Yeah,
Netflix
Netflix.
series.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, look at there's also a Netflix series about him, even two. But you know, we put people like that on in a way on a pedestal, and it's attractive. I don't know why, but this is something I still don't understand.
That's true. I never thought about that. Because we get curious to know how these people work.
Yeah.
How they get done this
And
kind
how
of
they
thing.
get so sick,
And
like
how they
what
get so sick.
happened.
I think that it's like a kind of it's a way that we can learn and a natural thing that our brain does to keep us safe. If I learn about that, I can prevent myself.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the case. About the museum, maybe.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
in this kind of case,
Yeah.
when people fall in love for a
No, I
person
don't
they
know. No.
know is a monster. I
Yeah.
mean,
They know the guy used to chop
Yeah.
their victims. How
His
can you
nickname
relate
is
to someone
the
like
chopper.
that?
Yeah, but also how if someone is a rapist and he did like a lot of serial, criminal activities, how can you date someone like that? I mean, it's
Married.
disgusting,
It's
and
insane.
even marrying. But yeah, maybe criminal activities attract.
some kind
We
of.
have to study about that more.
I mean, look at the.
people.
A lot of drug criminals, they also have like beautiful wives.
yes.
Yeah. The ladies of the crime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible.
If I may speak about that, by the way.
Sure,
Of
sure,
course,
sure, sure,
of course. We have a section here at our show that it's called Isso ou Aquilo. It's this or that in a free translation.
Yeah.
You have to choose one. We're going to give you options between two, and then you have to choose one. You must choose one.
You must choose one.
Okay.
Okay, the first one.
The first one, Ayleen.
Yes.
Stroopwafel or Winkle's apple pie?
Stroopwafel.
How do you say again?
Stroopwafel.
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 Yeah, because in the Netherlands we also have we sell this stroopwafel, but only like the dough.
Okay.
And it's they break it. So I put it in my yogurt, and it's without the
The
stroke,
Like a
the caramel.
granola.
Wow, this must be intense.
You can also just
I
like
wanna
put it in
try
your
that.
ice cream as well.
Oh, good. Would you rather have never matched with Simon on Tinder or see him paying for what he is?
Seeing paying for what it is.
Great.
Yeah.
You already matched with him, so
Yeah. It already happened. I
Yeah.
cannot like
Undo.
undo it. No, I
Sure.
cannot swipe left instead of right, you know? It's it's done.
yeah. Ayleen, what hurt you the most? Waking up for the fact that the man you thought was the love of your life does not exist, or noticing that you lost all of your economies?
Knowing that he wasn't the man I fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. After the fraud, I think that's the most difficult part.
Sure.
Because
To-
it hurts, right?
To me, well, because I woke up like instantly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can see
So-
that.
This is clear.
To me, I don't know if it really hurts, but it's something I still don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's still something I mean, I cannot fake a relationship like that for so long, you know? And this is something I still don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sickest part as well.
You didn't have the chance to confront him about the facts and the crimes and the scams. Do you think that helped you in a certain way to recover? Not to have to face him and say something to him and argue? Because Pernilla did that on the phone.
Yeah.
I know. Stop lying to me. She somehow confronted him, not face to face, but you didn't
No.
do that.
Because what's the point? I mean, he will never say sorry.
Yes.
Or if he says sorry, he doesn't mean it.
Okay. Yeah.
You cannot trust his sorry.
No, so what's the point? I mean, it will leave me still, you know, it's
Empty.
so empty.
Yeah.
So it's better to not confront him, live his horrible life, and you know, I will move on with my life.
Sure.
So, and that gives me more peace and quietness than confronting him, because
So it helps the recovery.
yeah, for me it helps, but
Yeah.
everybody is different. I mean,
course.
I know Pernilla, she really wanted to confront him on the phone.
I probably
and
would
also she was very emotional as well. And I remember that Cecily also confronted him in Israel for
okay.
an Israeli television show.
Really?
Yeah. But it's only in Hebrew, so I don't know if you can like try to translate it. I never seen it because of that, but I know that they felt really comfortable with that. But for me, it's I mean, that's why we're all different. We're all
Sure.
different in our
Yeah.
healing. We're all different in our reactions. And for me, I was like, what's the point? You know, I'm not gonna get anything out of it.
Yes.
Everything will be super empty, and I will be still frustrated because I don't get the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's so.
Yesterday, I was talking to my sister-in-law, who's psychologa, psychologist, about this interview, and she gave me a brilliant idea. Is the next question.
Ooh. Are we still doing like this or that? Or?
No, not
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Which is, you are associated with the most despicable man in your life. Does this bothers you? I mean, do you think you will always be Ayleen Charlotte, Simon's victim? Or will there come a time when you will simply be Ayleen Charlotte again? Because when we Google your name, it's very interesting to notice that all the links that show, that appears when we Google your name, they have your name inside the articles, but never in almost never in the headline. It's almost, it's like we talk to the
Simon's
Simon's victim.
victim.
Read next. Does this bothers you?
No, there will be one day when I will be in the headlines.
This is
You
great.
are
This is
here.
great.
Yay.
This is great. This is such a great answer.
No, I think it's of course it will be always a part of my life, and I choose to be in the documentary, but I also choose to change my career.
Sure.
Yes.
So it will always be in a way a part of me.
Sure.
So I cannot blame them for not putting me in the main article. But I hope in a few years, because now still the Tinder Swindler is still hot. I said after the documentary came out, I said, well, it maybe will last for a maximum of 2 years. But now it's already like 2.5, and people are still wanting to hear my story. People are still watching the documentary.
Yeah.
People are still...
You know how many million views it has globally?
No, I knew it was... I just read it in a different article. It was like 166 million views in the first 28 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Or in a few... 166 million hours of viewing.
Okay.
I don't know. But it's still a lot.
Sure.
So I don't know what the current numbers are. I think I need to look it up someday.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
it's very smart of you to take everything that happened to you and start a new platform of life.
Yes.
After all, the guy hurted you so much. Why not profit? Right?
Well, it's not a profit. I know that because I am very open about my story. I can talk very easily about it. And I know a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
Yes.
They maybe still feel ashamed. They maybe still feel this
Bad.
taboo, and they
Sure.
feel bad. And I want to inspire people like, oh my God, I've been in the same situation, or I am in the same situation. She got out of it as well. So maybe I should see her as
Of course.
someone to look up to.
Yeah.
Inspirational. Right?
And I hope I can inspire people by fighting back, or
Sure.
don't do what I did.
Pay
But
attention.
Yeah.
pay attention. But on the other hand, you should fight back. Why shouldn't you? Don't be a real victim. Just
Yes.
stand up and fight. And I hope with my story, with sharing my story worldwide, I can inspire those who are in this horrible situation. Because I know what you're going through, and it is horrible. But you will get out of it. Maybe if you don't see it now, you will
And get
maybe not see
lessons.
it. Yes.
You said something very interesting the other day when we met on the BioCatch event about the light on the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
That you didn't see it.
No.
Only after you were outside the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the fraud itself wasn't really the worst part. It was especially the aftermath.
Yeah.
I tried to find my police report in 3-4 different police stations, and they keep on sending me away. I tried to contact the banks. They didn't respond. They even claimed that I gave away the money myself. There was no support, no help, none of it.
You lost friends, you said.
I lost friends. But also I've been into mental therapy for 1.5 years because I knew I couldn't do this alone. So that's the most difficult part. And at that, you lost all of your money. You're in deep debt. You really don't know how to get out. But if you are climbing up, at a certain point, okay, you know what? It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I
got out.
Well, you got out, but you know that it's going to be okay.
Sure.
If you look around, you have amazing friends and you have amazing family to support you. It's so important. So focus on the good things, not on the bad things.
This is great.
That's great.
Such a lesson.
I know you don't want to confront him at all, but if you had the opportunity to have a 10-minute conversation with him, would you have something that you like to say, or would you just slap him in the face and say, "You're filho da puta"? That means son of a bitch in English. How do you say in Dutch? Son of a bitch.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I think the real translation is hoerenzoon.
Okay.
But you have a curse for that? Someone that you
No.
repulse very
No,
much?
it's more like eikel or teringleier.
Eikel.
Cool.
You're eikel.
You, no.
What would you do? You would say something like asshole, or just or
No, I laughed at him because I saw him a few weeks ago. I
Yeah,
laughed
yeah.
at him.
She's such a great girl.
I'm like,
Hi.
you know,
It's almost like
You
I feel
jerk.
sorry for the piece of shit you are.
yeah, more like that. I think it is, especially when he.
Great.
Yeah, that's a
Phrase.
good one.
Yeah,
That's
it
a good,
is.
I'm gonna use that one. So I'm gonna steal it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's all
If
yours.
If someone is
Great.
asking me
It's
the
all
same
yours.
question,
I'm
gonna
sorry
use it.
for you, you piece of shit.
Yeah, like as like I already said, it doesn't help me or whatever, you know. So I can just laugh at him, and I know that he also didn't want to confront me or even say
Sure.
hello. So it means that how pathetic are you? And
Yeah.
I laughed at him. I was like,
I
okay.
like it in Netflix that you say, "Hi, Simon."
Yeah.
He's
It was
going
something
now.
which, because we talked through the whole story with the documentary, and it was something we didn't like planned. I didn't plan to do, but at a certain point I was like, "Hi, Simon." Now you know it was
This
me.
is
You
great.
know, who
Yeah.
put you into jail.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let him know.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
This is great. The doc came out in 2022,
Yes.
3 years after all that happened. You are showing here to us and for our audience that you, here in Brazil, we have a say, ela deu a volta por cima. You managed to live again and to be happy again, and you are here showing that you are a strong woman who managed to deal with
To
everything
transform.
that happened in a very positive way. Very positive way. How have you been since the doc? I mean, how's your healing process going? Do you think you are still in a healing process?
No.
Okay.
No.
You are healed.
Yes,
This
I'm
is
healed. Of course, like it will always be a part of me.
Sure.
And I will be a little bit more precautious for the rest of my life. But I don't think it's a healing process. And I think, especially now with the work I'm doing, is I can really like put it aside. For example, if I go back home to Amsterdam and I see my friends again, we're not going to talk about him again or the situation or whatever. It's like, oh my God, how was Sao Paulo? What did you do?
Did
you
bought
know,
some Havaianas for us?
did you bring me any? No, it's like, it's not a part of my life anymore. The only part it is when I'm talking about it, when I'm
Sure.
doing the keynotes, when I'm doing the trainings, when I do the interviews. But when I'm back at home, I mean, I think I'm Dutch, and we are the most direct people in
Yeah.
the
I
world.
love that.
I know that if I start about like, oh, Simon this, Simon that, my friends will say like, oh my God, shut up, Jesus, again.
Yeah.
You know, like
5
we
years?
5 years after, we also have a life. Ask, you know.
You're not at the center of the universe.
No, it's not about you narcissist. No, I'm joking, but it's not about him anymore. It's not about the story. So we discuss like a million other things because there are so many more important things.
Sure.
So yeah, that's it. First of all, that's what I really love about my friends. So yeah, it's not in a way a part of my life. It is, but
Sure.
on the other hand, it's also not.
Yeah, and today is more about how you dealt with everything than about the story itself. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about
So
your reactions and what you are doing,
Yeah.
not about him and the scam. I know the next question is yours, but I have to ask her one little thing after this answer. Are you open to love?
Yes.
But not in the same way.
Not in the same way. Correct.
You are more precautious now.
Yes. And we the other day at the BioCatch event, we discussed this.
Yeah.
I know that the people in Brazil are more open, like, no, just come into my house again. And for me, I'm a little bit more reserved in that. But I'm still open to love. I mean, what is a world without love? So.
Oh, that's it. Ayleen, last year, you're chosen Scam Fighter of the Year by the Global Anti-Scam Alliance. And you are BioCatch ambassador. That's why we knew each other. BioCatch is a leading global company specializing in anti-fraud system. That's pretty huge and great all around the world.
They work with a lot of banks.
Yes.
What have you learned in this journey as an activist?
I learned so much. It was insane. What a world. There was a different world which opened up. I started to speak. I know the CEO of Global Anti-Scam Alliance. He invited me to share my story at an event. And it was right after COVID, so it was very small. And when I shared my story, there were only fraud fighters and fraud activists in the room. Mm-hmm. And when I shared my story, everybody was like clapping and being happy that I shared my story. And it was the first time I felt like I don't have to explain myself, you know, to a lot of other, for example, television shows or maybe even interviews. You always have to explain, like, why did you fall for it? Why did it happen? Like, and in that room, for the first time, I didn't have to do it. And
Everybody
understood, but they were also very happy that I shared my story, because not many victims of fraud are standing up and sharing their story, especially not on stage. So that's when I felt, oh my God, I should do more with this. And I met so many people. We talked about how they are trying to, fight this horrible crime. And at that moment, I knew, like, I really want to do more with this. I think the world needs a little bit more of this story to open up, because fraud is still a taboo. And
romance fraud even more, I think.
Yes, because people feel ashamed of falling in love. You know, it's something you shouldn't be ashamed of, falling in love.
Of this emotional scam.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think that, I was really happy when I started to open up my story in a different way, because after the documentary came out, I didn't do any interviews because everybody was asking me about Simon. How is he doing now? And I'm like, I don't know. It's not that I'm ringing him up like every single 2 months to ask how he is. You know, like, what do you think?
I don't miss him.
I don't miss him. Yeah.
Journalists is having problems all around the world.
This is a discussion we have a lot on our show.
Yeah, because there's no, like, empathy. People don't understand that this is like the blackest page of my life.
And people like to confront journalists nowadays. They don't want just to talk to you. They want to confront you and to put you in some bad position.
How could you be so dumb?
This is so insane.
Yeah, because after the documentary came out, I mean, yes, I was very proud being a part of it. But on the other hand, the documentary looks amazing. It's an amazing setup story and perfect editing. But it also makes the story look very sensational. And I think almost every single day I got the question, like, did this really happen?
Yeah.
So people really don't realize and understand that, yes, this really happened. And yes, this is like, we've been through hell. And this is, a lot of people don't realize. So after the documentary came out, I was invited to so many talk shows or newspapers, but I just canceled them all. I said no. First of all, I had a job, so I had other things to do. And on the other hand, I was like, no, this should be about my story.
Yeah.
Because like I said the other day, I had 3 goals, 3 purposes to be part in the documentary, and those became also my mission in this fraud fighting activist role. And I try to keep them in the back of my head like every single time.
Please tell us the 3.
Well, first of all, I wanted to break down the shame and the taboo on fraud.
Perfect.
I want people to speak up. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel bad for you.
It really
because
happens to everyone.
It can really happen to anyone. Number 2 is I really want banks, government agencies, non-government agencies, companies change their policies on how to treat victims, on what to do when an actual victim gets in contact. And I want people to learn from my story. And the third was I really want to motivate victims to not say no for an answer. Sure. Because what I've been through is, I hope it can be inspiring a lot of people to also stand up. So yeah, and those 3 are still
your main goals.
My main goals, and I will never forget them. And they're already in the back of my head for, 3 years now, I guess. And yeah.
Did you see any advance in the second goal? I mean, the regulations?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Because every time when I share my story on stage, people are like amazed, because not many people hear a story like this, like in real. They always hear it maybe on the news or they read it in a newspaper.
Yeah.
So it's got like more sensational. But if you really share your deepest problems, what I had to go through with the mental therapies, with with almost
how much
impact it has, they're all amazed. Like, oh my God, we didn't know that this was happening to victims. And yesterday I was at the BioCatch event, the BioCatch Thread Talk Live, and someone came up to me. He is working for a bank, and he said, well, thank you so much. For now, I'm going to put your story in the back of my head, and we really need to change our behavior towards victims. And I was like, really my God.
Yeah.
It was so nice of him, and I really loved his words. And he said, well, we have them on the phone almost every day, but it's so impersonal. And I said to him, if you maybe spill some coffee on your white trouser, or if you have a bad day, or if you just woke up, if you didn't sleep or whatever, and you are directing a victim of fraud and in a very wrong way, then it can also make them think very, very bad and give them very dark thoughts.
Yes.
Because also people kill themselves over this.
Yeah.
Which is horrible and disgusting. And we don't know this because they don't talk. And so that's the worst part. And nobody understands that. Because I remember one day someone asked me like, oh, do you have the numbers of how many people kill themselves over fraud? And I was like, no, they don't talk.
They probably killed themselves because they didn't told anyone about the fraud.
And
it's
that
the shame.
and that is the reason why they took their own lives.
Yeah.
I heard you saying 7% of people involved in frauds tell something, right? 7%?
Only 7%?
No, only 7% are reporting their fraud.
Their fraud.
It's terrible. Yeah. It's like
7%.
It's like a rape denounce also.
Yeah.
But this is why we need to change a lot. I mean, a lot of victims of fraud I spoke to, they say, well, the police don't do anything about it, so why should I report it?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you one thing. If you don't report, then the police don't know that this is such a huge and big problem in our society.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And if the police don't know, then also the banks don't know, the government don't know.
Nothing's going to happen.
So
Ever.
nothing's gonna happen ever. So let me start from, like, you always need to start with yourself. So let me say it from a victim's perspective. If you report your crime, even if the police don't do much about it, I mean, yes, to be honest, it is difficult to catch these bad guys and these type of criminals. But if you don't report it, nothing will be done for you and for someone else. So please report it, because then the police knows, like, how much impact it has on our society. Then the government will do more, the banks will do more, and then if they all do more, then also other victims will think, oh, hey, there's a lot going on. They take more action, so let me report my crime. So
At the dock, you can see they made this scene where the American Express guys get in front of Sicilians. They watch, they look at each other, and they say, it's him.
Yeah.
So they know. The companies know. They know it happens. They know. But if they don't have the pressure,
It's actually the first orientation that she has
It's
about
from
how
the
to talk to the police is from Amex, the Amex.
yeah, American Express, I think they found out that he was he was doing this fraud in Europe again, because he already got convicted in Europe, in Finland in 2016 for doing the same thing. And he got also arrested by spending a lot of money on credit cards of Amex. So yes, they found out that it was him again. So that's why,
It's insane.
it's insane.
We have one more question, but I have one
Another
extra
one. Okay,
question
okay.
that just
Yes.
occurs me. What about the girl that was actually allegedly the mother of his son,
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of his daughter,
daughter.
yeah, and was in the plane even after she was a victim,
Yeah. She was a victim.
but she was with him. In the documentary, there is one trip, I don't know from where to where, that Cecile.
Yeah, it was with Cecilia.
This is insane. Do you know how to explain something like that? I mean,
No. But maybe it's for her, maybe it's a survival.
Yeah, I
or
don't want to
some
judge
surviving. I don't know,
exactly
because he
because of
has a
that.
daughter with him.
but this is
Oh my
so
God.
insane to be part of the scheme of the scam that you were a victim of 2-3 years.
I mean, I would never, ever even put in my head to get in contact with him, and knowing what he did to me, and trying to help deceive other. I mean, this is really sick.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is really
I said to
Almost
him.
But on the other
worse
hand,
than him, I think.
Yeah.
The
No,
sickness.
because-
I'm
yeah.
not judging the person because, as Ayleen just said, sometimes she doesn't have alternative.
Yeah, but I think that was, I told him, because I was watching yesterday with 3 men,
Yeah,
and I was the only woman
yeah.
in the room. And I said, guys, maybe she's not as strong as Ayleen. Maybe she's scared. Maybe she thinks that she will die and her daughter
He
will
will take
be
her
alone.
daughter away.
And you have to think as a woman
Yeah.
in this moment.
yes,
Not
Good one.
not just like, maybe she's scared. She's not strong. She doesn't have the support network around her.
Because it's over
And she has a-
comprehension, right? We cannot understand that.
and she has a kid. I
And
mean,
that
I
changes
don't,
everything.
I
Yeah.
don't have any
Beyond
children, but I see from my friends,
Yes.
they do everything
Sure.
in their power to give their kids
Yes.
a good life.
Yeah.
So
We don't know if he used to threaten her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill her.
take
I'm
your
go-
girl, take
take
our
your girl.
daughter.
I don't
blah,
know.
blah, blah.
Back.
So
Yeah.
we don't know. No,
This is so.
but it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really amazing in not a good way.
No. No.
Ayleen, now we are getting to the end of our conversation here. I have a last question. You've said last year that you want to be filthy rich in happiness. I know that you now own a
Oh
wine
my
shop.
God, on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Wow.
We are good in
Yeah.
research.
Wow. I don't even remember what I...
You had
Okay.
a purse written "Filthy Rich."
Yes.
A yellow
Rich.
one.
Yes.
I know that now you own a wine shop, which really helps in the matter of happiness.
You can send some to us. You're okay with that?
But do you think you are already that filthy rich in happiness?
Yes, I am.
This is nice.
Yes. Because I realized before the fraud, I went on holiday 4 or 5 times a year. I think during the fraud, and I didn't have any money. I think I found like 23 different colors of lipstick of Chanel. It's like I had a life.
Yes.
I had a nice job. I owned my own house, my own car. I worked very hard for everything. So yes, I had a good life. But when everything it fell apart.
Yeah.
And then I start realizing like what are the most important things in life. And those were my parents, my friends, and enjoying time and spending time with them. So, and now it was also COVID. And I think
Oh, of course.
I am the only person in the world who was happy with COVID.
No, I understand you. I had almost the same feeling as you.
Yeah, because, well,
Because I
in
could
my...
keep close to my friend, my family, my husband, my daughter,
Yeah.
all day long.
Yes, as well.
Without
And
distractions.
And for me, it was also, nobody was able to travel. Nobody was able to go out for dinners. Nobody was able to shop or, so
Everything that he used to like to do,
yeah, couldn't.
it was forbidden.
Yeah,
so
it
you
was
felt
forbidden
safe.
and it felt okay because I didn't have any money. I couldn't
Yes.
go out. So this was the best situation in a way.
Yes.
So, and then I started realizing like what is important and what is the most beautiful things in life. And it's not, of course, a Louis Vuitton bag is nice, but you know,
Sure.
and a Hermes as well, or Bottega Veneta. No, joking.
Yeah.
But,
They are all
Yeah,
really nice.
Balenciaga,
Really nice. Loro
Fendi.
Piana.
Actually, did you see the last?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
The last collection. So you start realizing like what are the most important things, and I think that I know that now, and I think that makes me even happier and stronger. And now I started my own business, which was something I wanted already like years ago, but I never knew what. I love wine, so I started my own wine label.
Since a little kid, we saw the picture.
I come from Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
I
it's
understand.
allowed.
It's
It's
different.
Here
allowed.
in the south of Brazil, we have the German and Italian colonization in south of Brazil. And every kid can have a little wine with water and sugar. It's perfectly normal. So we understand.
Yeah. So, because I know when I posted a picture, I get a lot of comments like, "Oh my God, would you post it?" I was like, "Well, first of all, it's like 35 years ago.
Okay.
There was also like an ashtray on the table, but also I'm from Europe, and this was in France. France is even,
Yeah.
Even I was going to say even worse, but I think even better.
We
Right?
laughed, we laughed so much because you said, "I'm sorry, I used to have a bad habit in the BioCatch event, and then I smoked." This guy here smokes like almost 10 cigars daily.
This is actually
Five.
fuel. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not that much. I know people that smokes a lot. Ayleen, such a pleasure to have you here. It's
Thank
so
you a
nice
lot.
to see how you see the darkest time of your life as just a phase. It's really inspiring, and I hope that our audience can be inspired as we are.
And how you overcome everything.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
really,
so
really
sweet.
nice.
Success with wine, with your journey as an activist, Thank you a lot.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And it was a pleasure to meet you as well.
Thank
I
you.
really like you. And I hope I might be back one day.
Please.
Yes, of
and then we're
course.
gonna
And then
have
it will be only Ayleen Charlotte.
Perfect.
Ayleen
Exactly.
plus caipirinhas.
And
Oh my God,
I
yes.
hope we meet in Amsterdam also.
Please.
Yes, let me
The
know
next
if you're in
time we
Amsterdam.
are
You
in
can
the
always
city.
let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now
I'm
we'll
gonna
give you
call
some
the audience.
stroopwafels.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the audience right now so they can watch our other show
Yeah.
and ask them for money so that we can go to Amsterdam. Então, o que eu tô dizendo é isso, gente. Vocês têm que se atualizar das coisas. E aí tem Rivo News.
Sexta-feira, 12:30, aqui no nosso canal no
Então
YouTube.
assistam, mandem pros amigos, se inscrevam.
Assinem os Rivos membro de ouro,
O
prata, bronze, o que você
participem
puder.
com a gente pra gente poder visitar a Ayleen
É
lá
isso.
em Amsterdã. A gente tá querendo muito. E a gente conta mais coisas pra vocês.
Exatamente.
Combinado?
Tchau, tchau.
Bye!
Bye.